Okay, so I just spent quite a long time trying to find a decent red acrylic pen to work for the blood. I tried all these different pens. I have a Posca red. I have the whole red pack of Tule Arts, all the different red shades. I have Artex acrylic marker red. I have Spectrum Noir. Out of all of these, like, none of them seemed right for the blood. Not to mention, we have to put it on top of black. I don't know why the artist did that. So even though blood is generally a little darker, it won't show in the black. So you have to go with one of the brighter ones. So it's kind of an odd situation. I did narrow it down. Let me show you. You probably won't have these. I'll tell you what I figured I'm going to do. I narrowed it down to the Artex red acrylic and a kind of a brownish red over it. And let me zoom in. I'll show you here. I did the little, see the Tula red spots? The one on the top. The one on the bottom was a little too light. The one on the top right there was the combination of the two. So considering you probably won't have exactly what I have at home, grab whatever you have. I don't want any of my stuff to bleed through in this book. Alcohol marker would have worked, but it would bleed through. If you have any actual real paint, like you can buy the little paints that come in these kind of things, like a good medium red, not too bright, not too dark, like a blood red would work because paint will be thick. Maybe a really rich red water-based marker, but the acrylic or the Tule Arts are paint pens and they work fine. I will link below the Tule Art Reds set that I'm using. I use these for a lot of different things. There's like 30 reds in it, different shades or something. Just use whatever you can find. You can even try one of the brighter red pencils. So I thought I'm just going to go ahead and do that after we do her skin. We're going to do her skin now. I'm going to see if I can zoom in enough for you to see her face. Okay. So I'll get to the blood part in a while because it's going to be wet for a while and I don't want to accidentally set my arm in it. I just realized I forgot part of her dress right there at the bust area. So for her skin, we have light peach, sienna brown, and then I added this, the 929 pink, which is in her dress for her blush for her cheeks. So it's these three right here. Okay, and plus the pink. So we're going to start with the sienna brown. And what I'm going to make sure that everything's really sharp. So gotta get in real close. I'm going to start in her neck area. This sienna brown is going to kind of be for shadows. So under her neck, you want to put some. Then at the bust area too, going up a little at that V and across. We're going to use really light pressure because you can't take out anything once you put it in, technically. A little bit here, there's like a little V right here at her collarbone. Follow the line of that collarbone. On her arm, I'm going to do the elbow. And just barely, really pale, really carefully, I'm going to go up the side of her arm, kind of like to outline it. Same on this side. Then the rest of her arm goes up this way. So that'll be, actually, I think her whole, I'm trying to figure out where exactly her arm is. I think this is the shoulder up here. Put some up here at the shoulder. I think this is a line of her arm right here. But then what is this line here? This actually, yeah, this is the real outline of her arm right here. Okay, so that's just more like a skin fold. Let's do that right around the bottom. This arm we'll do up here in the corner along the elbow. Up here at the top. Fingers. And on the inside of her arm, going down. Her fingers here, let's get a little in her knuckles. And outline her finger. Then where these two fingers separate. Side of her palm right here. I mean, really, she doesn't have that much skin, so showing a little more at the V right here. A little more at the shadows where her finger folds are. Okay, and then let's do a little bit under her nose or the bag in her eye. I'm going to put a little in each corner of her nose. Across the top of it at the little clefty area. Her chin line here. And a little bit at the top under this crown area. Outline the bottom just a little bit. Okay, so then we'll go to the peach. And I'm going to get under her eye here, very light and gentle. Up in her forehead, these little openings between the blood. Around the top of her nose, into the corners of her nose. Let's do a little bit down here on her chin. Chin. We'll leave some white areas for that lighter peach too. Okay. Just small amounts. Let's go into her arm. Let's do the side of her arm right here. Down. And upward. And then again up here, the side of her arm I think is right here. Makes her arm a little chubby, but if I have that right, let's get in here, blend in wherever we had that sienna color. Very gentle though, light color. Let's go over to this arm, her elbow. Up here, let's do her fingertips. And the side of her hand, not all of the hand. We'll do some of this arm coming down, not all of it. All right. I can do this little line right there. See, we're just barely touching in that color. Let's go to the light peach. And I'm going to get the rest of her nose with this, the whole front part of her nose, and kind of try to blend that into the other two colors. Let's get above her eye and kind of around the forehead blood. Leave a little white area there for the blush. I'm going to come back to that. We'll cover that back up with the peach above her eye here. I want to get along the side of her mouth, her chin, above her lip. I'm going to set this down just for a minute and grab the pink. I want to put her blush in now under her cheek, doing it very soft and light in little circles. Okay, it's going to kind of match the blush on her dress. Add a little of that pink into her cleft on her lip and then in her elbows too. A little bit here at the V-line of her chest. Right there. However, I might have a little pink, a little more there. Okay. Let's go back to the actual I just lost my peach. There it is. Let's go back to the peach. I'm gonna add a little bit just around the cheek where we first started the blush, but not all the way. Kind of blend into that blush. I forgot to dab just a teeny bit of that pink on this side, right between where the blood is. Okay, and the tip of her nose. Okay. Now come back with that peach. Let's do a little bit more on her chin. Not all of it. Just getting a little more color in here. Okay, now let's go back to the light peach. Gonna finish blending in that blush all the way over the pink and the other peach on her cheek here. Blend in that tip of her nose, the blush over here above her lips, right here. I'm gonna get her neck. I'm gonna do in here the white open areas of her neck. Don't worry if you get a little bit on the blood, because we'll go over that with the acrylic, of course. I'm going to get her fingers. I got a little bit, looks like, in her hair, and it makes it look a little dull. I'm going to have to touch that up with a little blonde or something. Wherever you can go around this black on her hand. Try to get all the areas, blend this in here at her elbow. Blend right up to the line where we had put that brown. Up between the blood streaks. Trying to get all her arm done. One finger I missed here. It does look like her arm is too wide here from here. I thought if her arm stopped right here, that would be right. Then what's this fold of skin right there? So I guess that's her whole arm. That's a little bit of an artist error, I think. So hopefully we can make it look realistic. Drawing error is what I mean by that. What is this? There's the stars coming out. What is that right there? I'm not sure. Hairpiece, maybe? Let's get her chest in the center here, and then above her bra line area. This light peach, whole chest. touch back up with that peach here shortly. Her arm over here, we got one area right here. Gotta blend into that elbow. I need to get my pink. I need to touch up on her dress right there. Some more in her hand to get right here. That light peach still. Fingers. Okay, I'm going to take the regular peach. Going to touch up here around her, a little darker around the bust area, just under the beads, under the necklace. At this V again, her collarbone. Put a little more here, the side of her arm. Just to give it some definition. On the side of her hand, side of her finger. Let's do it on her chin, under her eye. Oh, I think I missed a finger right here. Yeah, I missed her thumb. Trying to make sure I got all the little skin spots. I do see a few errors I need to touch up on her hair. Okay, I'm going to take the Sienna brown. I'm actually going to put this into her neck a little bit. I'm going to touch this up on her hair a little bit too. Right here at her neck. A little bit in this little tiny dip right here. Right here where the arm kind of stops, and then right there. Outline it a little better. Gonna put a little more of this brown on her knuckles, or finger lines, I guess you could say. Down the side of her hand right there. And hold the paper down a little bit on her corner of her nose. And her chin. I'm going to touch up on her hair with this. I see some areas I missed above the crown. I'm just going to color right over with this Sienna brown. This weird spindly crown you can hardly see. Touch right here where I got some peach on her hair, so it won't look quite as dull. Touching up a little bit with her hair, so these strands will be a little more prominent. Okay, inside her hand, need to touch up a little. I think that's all blood on her hand, I'm pretty sure. There's quite a few details we need to get on her face. I'm going to grab I'm going to use this. Use whatever color you want for her lipstick. This is the Papermate Flare. You can use pink, red, whatever you want for her lipstick. I'm doing this kind of pinky color, and I'm going to put this into her lips. Use whatever, anything but alcohol marker that won't bleed. You can use a really sharp pencil. I just wanted to use a pen because with lipstick it'll stand out a little more. The artist pens work really well for this. And if you'll notice, this color matches what's in these roses here. In fact, you can probably add a little details right here. And these are the scented ones. It smells like raspberry. Okay. I thought of doing the queen in this purple too, but I'm thinking it should be the blue, which will match the curtain. I do see I missed a little area right here. Need to outline with this is the regular pink. And on her dress, I want to put in some pink in these folds here. This is on top of the blender we did earlier. Need to get in here because I missed this area. We were doing her dress earlier. And grab your pink. Use a soft pink for this one. That's the same pink I used right here. And I have to do the inside of her mouth, her teeth, and her eyes. I'm still touching up. Let's use the peach. It looks a little white over her eyes. I'm actually going to add a little bit of makeup. I'm going to put a little pink on her eyes. For eyeshadow, same pink that's in her dress. And in fact, I'm going to blend it just a little tiny bit with this blue, this indigo blue. And all I'm going to do is outline the top of her eye with it. It's very sharp. Almost like an eyeliner that's on top. Then I'm going to use this pink into the eyeshadow area. On each side. You can see it up close, maybe not on camera. And then we're going to have to do her eyes. I'm going to use the cobalt blue hue, which we're also going to use for these curtains, for her eye color. Going to get in a little bit of blue here in her eyes. I'll have to dot it with some white later. This is the same pencil. I wanted to use this color on her letters. I'm going to try to go over this because it's sharp enough. This should work fine for prom queen. Yeah. I don't think we need a pit artist pen. We can use the pencil. So right now I'm using the cobalt blue hue for the letters on the prom queen sign. Very sharp. Okay. Outline these letters. Looks good. Prom queen. I feel like I need to watch the movie now that I'm doing this picture. yeah, so that looks fine. This blue will also be in the background, so this is going to look nice together. For her pearl necklace, I'll use a pink, and then I'm going to put in some liquid pearls. You can, you don't need that if you don't already have it. I do need to pick a color for her mouth. I haven't done that yet, so I got to test a few, and I'll put that into the swatch. We'll come back to that. And her nails, I want to go in the same color as I did her lipstick with this paint pen. I'm going to try to tip them. Looks like she has a French manicure, but only on one of them. So I could try to tip most of the ends with a white pen so they look consistent. But over here you can't really see much of her nails, so I don't know if that's just going to work or not. No, I'm just going to go all the way. That's too much trouble. I'm just going to do her whole nail. Okay. And this was, again, the Pomegranate Passions Papermate Flare Scented Pack. And I love these pins. I use them in my journaling, too. Okay, I'm also going to take my little black pen, whatever kind you have. This is a Le Pen Flex Black. You can use anything that's kind of a really fine point. For her nose holes, this is a felt pen. A Pitt Artist pen works well too. And I'm going to do the inside of her mouth where it's black, already shaded black, with this, so it's more black inside. I think that should work. And then I'll do the sides of it, the tongue pink, and the sides of the cheek wall, a lighter pink. So it looks kind of creepy right now, but it will be better. Okay. So we have some jewels to do on her still. I still haven't figured out what the heck that is in her hair. And the blood. Wanted to outline a little bit around her hair. I missed right here. I'm actually going to just go and do some of that blood now and show you. So again, I have my Artex acrylic marker. There's several sets. I don't remember. I'll list everything I use here. I'm going to put some of this on her arm. Again, it's not as dark as I would have liked for blood to be, but it covers the black enough where it works. And that's why we're going to touch that other one over the top of it, I think. And these acrylic markers are very fine brush tips, so it works fairly well for these blood dribbles. So have to be careful and go kind of slow. I do want this first kind of layer of this stuff to dry before I try to put on the other red. Let's go down here. I'm going to dab all these areas. Yeah, it was really hard finding the right red. Anything too dark straight off the bat was not going to show very well over that black. Okay. Even now this is drying, you can still see some black through that. That's why you have to do more than one layer. Let's get these little areas right here. All right. I am zoomed back out so people can see. I just realized I was zoomed in. You couldn't have seen when I was doing that prom queen, but I was using the cobalt blue. That's the problem. When I zoom in, I don't remember that I was zoomed in, so I try not to zoom in too often. All right, so anyway, we're working on some of these blood areas here. Okay. It's all down her hand, some here in her hair. It's mostly already getting dry over there. Let's get up here on her face. Okay, down her face. All right, it's dripping down her front here. Can't tell the areas where there's blood, but be careful you don't put your hand on it. I'm going to stop for now, let that dry, go back and add in, let that dry a little more, and then add my other red on there, and we'll come back to that. I don't want to do over here because I'm going to be reaching, doing the curtain. I don't want to smear anything, which, believe me, I've done a bazillion times. We're going to start on the back of these curtains for now. So for the curtains, we have Indithrone Blue, Cobalt Blue, and Blue Violet Lake. The panel, the flat part of the curtains will be mostly dark, the Indithrone and the Cobalt. I was thinking the Blue Violet Lake for, and maybe a little gray, which I need to add a second color to go across these. Yeah, because if you put dark blue on blue, you're not going to really see it, but I'm thinking some silver, which will kind of be a nice accent to once these stars glitter up, once we get done with all the stars. So let's get started with that blue. Although I also have, I need to look at my, well, no, I think that's sufficient. Why did I also swatch indigo? I don't have any indigo here. I don't need it though. Okay, anyway, sorry, talking to myself. Let's start with this one, the Indithrone Blue. And nice and sharp. Actually, I'm going to work on this side of her. I'm right-handed, it's the easiest. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of streak through it like we did their hair, and then we're going to fill in with the lighter blues. And so we have to go around the stars. It's going to be a pain. I'm just going to focus on like one panel at a time of the curtains, okay? So I don't get overwhelmed. And try to focus on one area at a time. We are going to be covering up a lot what's on the stars with glitter and stickles and things, assuming that my plan works out. So I'm not worried if I get a little blue on there. But I prefer not to. So I'm just going to go darker here in the middle. Or along the actual crease, you know, where are the folds of the curtain. Doing it a little darker right there, not over the star. Okay, let's add in a little. curtains, backgrounds, water, ocean. These things always take the longest. It's a real drag. KL Drago, as my mom used to say, French. French Big Latin or something. All right, I'm going to this next panel here. Let's go to this panel here. If you have a pretty sharp pencil, this will come along a little faster than it feels. I don't want to get carried away though and make a boo-boo. I don't want Carrie to get carried away. It's always going to be darker around the base. Let's go right here up next to her. Thinking the next page I'll do will be the doll one on the other side in this Patreon for you guys, so that we can have a spread, a nice 2-page spread, if that interests anyone. We are going around. Gonna come back in and darken up a few areas once I get this color in each panel. Whoops, got some on the frame. It's okay, gotta slow it in. Touch that up with some gold. Let's get up here while it's still sharp. Okay. So it's getting a little flatter on one side of my pencil. I'm going to take the pointier part and I'm going to try to get in dark to some of these curtain creases where you see them. There's one that goes over the star, but the star should be over it. Maybe you're supposed to go over that. I think I'm going to go over it. Heck with it. Heck with it. Straight on over it then, I guess. They don't go over, I just don't go over all of them, just some. That's odd. Right down the middle. Actually, I don't need to do that. I'm going to put the stickles on, so I don't really need to go over them. I take that back. I'm not going over them. There, 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 there. All right. Just striping through a few more areas here. Just doing a few of the folds, not all. Just doing some of them darker. You can see. Some of them, not all. Okay, good. I'm going to switch to the other blue now so we can kind of see how this is going to look before we do the whole other side. It's a good idea to test the waters. Did want it darker in some areas, as you saw. We'll see. Sometimes I adjust my plan as I go. Let's move to the cobalt blue hue. Cobalt blue hue. After I get this side, I'm going to do some more of the blood on her dress. I want to see how that turns out. I'm going to start coloring in this blue around the stars. This is the more time-consuming part, is when you want to get the solid color done, in and done. I'm not going to go too hard a pressure yet, because I might touch in a little more of that dark again. But I'm basically getting this blue on almost everywhere. And blending over the other blue. Might leave a couple little white highlights, but I don't know if we need that. From when I saw the movie, it was pretty dark in there during this scene. Not sure if we're gonna need that or not. So I'm really just wiggling around all these stars, making sure all the way the paper gets some of this blue. Being careful, tracking the point of my pencil, make sure it doesn't get too close to the stars. Try not to get carried away. There we go. I think originally I was going to put the Blue Violet Lake in there, but that's too light. And I might even take the Indigo, which is even darker, and put some touch of that in, because the curtains were really dark. If you've seen the movie or you go on YouTube and you watch that clip, you'll see these curtains are like a dark navy blue, although it's filmed indoors and it's dark inside, you know, so obviously that makes it look darker than it probably is. But this is going to be more like an underlayer, because we're going to go back over it with the darker one and work that color in like we do. Prismacolor is all about this building slow layers and sometimes hard burnishing blending, which is much faster, but when you don't want to get anything on other areas, that's not the best plan. All right. All right. So you can see we got a nice layer of these two blues in here. I want to go ahead and take my Yeah, I want to do the indigo blue. I don't have that on the swatch. I need to add it. In fact, let's add it right now. I'm going to add indigo blue. Indigo blue is 901. Okay, I added it in this little box right here. We're going to take this and we're going to go in here and put in some dark lines. Mine's super duper sharp, so that should help. Put in some more lines with these, or follow the lines that already exist. That's sufficient. Make some crease folds. Maybe do some of them all the way. Do some of them dark. I'm going to go all the way over these stars, so I don't really need the lines to go over the stars. I don't know why the artist did that. I want them all glittery, so I don't want to put much lines through them or much blue on them. I'm actually going to even add some lines where I don't even necessarily see any. All right, it's looking good. Okay, I had to pause, but we're continuing now. We were working in the indigo, so I'm just gonna get in anywhere where I need to put a few more little touches of this dark blue. I would be coloring this entirely differently if this was a solid background without the stars and little spaces to go around. I would just be straight up soft blending, gradient style, but that does not allow for that with this type of picture. Okay. I'm going to go to the cobalt blue hue. Oh, no, I take that back. Indantron. It's the oddest blue name ever. Indantron. Okay. I'm going to work over here. Gonna start coloring a little more. Not sharp enough. I'm going to leave some little areas a little pale, more pale than others for the lighter blue and the little white. But otherwise I'm going to start putting a little more pressure in, blending things a little more solid now, particularly around the stars. You want a very sharp pencil to get all the way up to the inside of the little dip where the stars are. And around the stars now. And you can just see this whole thing getting darker and darker, right? Because we're adding more and more color. Alexa, stop. That's a reminder to do something I already did, just in case. Okay, around these stars. And don't worry if you don't get all the way up into the crevice of the star dips, because we can go back in when we're done and go right around the star, like as a final touch or whatever. That's definitely possible. Okay. And you just keep working in the color. Just keep darkening it more in some areas than others. Keep getting that kind of filled in. My hand, if your hand gets tired like mine is, I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to go back and work on this blood for a minute just for fun. So the Tule Art paint pen I have from the red set, it is number 1 apparently. See if this still looks good. It's like I thought it did. I have a piece of paper. It's what you use to activate on. I'm gonna put some on her arm here and see how this looks. It's definitely covering more of that black from the artist's ink. Really trying to get all this black here. Push it down a little if you need to activate it for more paint. This is basically like a Posca, but it's a Tule Arts are thinner and they have lots of different colors. You can buy them by color set. And they're easier to control. Push down once or twice if you need to activate it a little. So I'm kind of casually adding this onto her dress, like in splotches. A little bit. Do some in her hair over here. Looks good. Get up here on her forehead. All down her face here. Poor thing. I think that would be pretty horrifying. Get blood dumped over you. I think it's more horrifying to think of where they got all the blood. And what had to die or get stuck to get it. Although, obviously for the movie they just used paint, I'm sure. Although that would have been hard to get off, so I wonder what they did use. Interesting. This is working pretty well. It's covering what's left of the black lines. It's Deepening the red, I already put on there. Might need a third coat of the other one I'll go back to after this one dries. So we're kind of combining, you know, two reds to get kind of the right red, which was part of what was tricky. Okay. Good. I'm going to continue now on the side of the curtain. Okay, so I didn't realize that my phone that was recording died because I couldn't see it, and I finished this whole portion. So I charged it. All I really did, and I'm going to show you, is we had already put in all that base layer, which is similar to here. We kept layering in some of the colors over and over. All I finally did is take the cobalt blue hue and really just kind of use that to blend everything out. It was real easy. So we're going to do that together now. I also ran my Prismacolor blender over this other section. So then when we, on the other side, because it's so time consuming, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a speed up. I will do either music or twice the speed coloring when I'm putting in that blue, because really you already will know what to do and you can still see me doing it, and it doesn't require as much real time, because otherwise these videos can be really long, because these background areas take so much time. So you see how I'm just really using pressure and I'm going in over, and the point of putting in those several layers, which we already did, even though we left a lot of white space for that white tooth to absorb just straight this color, there's already so many layers on there that blending this over it just kind of fills in real quick and kind of sucks it right up. So this final phase is really easy. This is going to use a lot of your pencil. Mine was only halfway out, you know, before I started, but this takes a lot of pigment to do these big backgrounds. If you do have the Prismacolor, you know, the 150 set or whatever size, and you use up just one color, you can go to eBay, put in, you know, PC 133 Prismacolor, cobalt blue hue, and you can buy just the one color from art suppliers, and they'll ship you just the one color. It might be like $5 or $6 to replace it. Also, dickblick.com has, I think, all the individual Prismacolor pencils. They can send you just, you know, just one. I tend to buy, you know, replace one whenever I run out, and it's cheaper than just replace one at a time as it runs out, because they never run out at the same time. Also, you can try Amazon. Sometimes you can find individual colors on Amazon. If you're not in the US, I'm sure you can find someone somewhere on eBay Japan, or I don't know if Dick Blick, if they have a like a UK or Canadian shipping. But the other thing you can do is find another waxy pencil if you run out partly during, and continue on with that. And so some pencils that work similarly to these would be Soucolor, which I use a lot in my tutorials, and they have a ton of blues. Try to find a blue that's pretty similar, a nice bright, almost like a royal blue. Color It brand, like who makes those Color It tablet spiral coloring books. They have some small pencil sets, and they blend a lot like Prismas. Arteza Experts blend a lot like Prismas, nice and waxy. Derwent Pro Color blends a ton of similarity there is, you know, with Prismacolor. And also trying to think what other waxy ones would be similar. If you do like a Brute Printer, Couleur, Polychromos, they're not quite waxy enough to get this final burnishing effect we're doing. The Crayola Signature Adult line are really nice and waxy. I was blown away when I first ever tried those. Now these are smaller sets. The Uni Posca, like the Posca paint pens, Uni Posca has a set. I think there's like 50 pencils. It's like in a black case. And those are amazingly soft and waxy. Trying to think. Yeah, so if you try to put a harder oil pencil over the multiple layers of waxy Prismacolor we did, it's not going to look like it's what we're doing now. It might leave more scratchies or dents. Derwent Color Soft are really soft. Those you should be able to get away with. The Pro Colors are the best for waxy blending, but the Color Softs are even softer. But that will use up a lot of pigment as well, but it'll work. Okay, so you see what basically we did here. Go over, look for any white tooth on the paper. That's really all we did to finish. That's all I did here that you missed on this side. Take your Prismacolor blender. Let's get in and blend this out. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on this side. And we are going to start again with the darkest color. I'm actually going to start with the Indentron, and I'm going to start just striping it in. So for this whole rest of the section, I'm going to do double speed coloring. You can just kind of, if you need it slower, go back to what we did on this side and just kind of follow that for a reminder. But I'll do a double speed on this just till we get that done. Otherwise, it's going to be like a whole hour and a half just to get that portion done, because we're building layers. It takes a little time. And I'll see if I can put in music, or you can put on some of your own. And here we go.